And let's fire share notes right. Hmm, this must be it. Okay, it used to have the Facebook one here. Yeah, let's go back to Facebook. Yeah, Patient, do not disturb. On. Let's go. Was yeah. You ready? Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. One. One. Yeah. Mhm. Very good. Oh, that's better. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Hello.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Wow, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my God. You look so great on camera. Oh my God. It's like, wow.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm Stephanie Stevens.
Nice to meet you, Zhane Dawlingz, Miss
No.
Continental 2024.
Okay. Um, the reason we wanted you on the show today is because uh, we've already created Pronoun TV for national syndication coming
Okay.
up. We're trying to get to about 900 to 1,000 shows so that way we can create a platform and a show network for us. So we will not have to look at, like ABC or NBC. If we want to know anything about the LGBTQ community, we can look for Pronoun TV.
All right. I love that. Yes.
So that is where we are at with all of this. And we're doing very well. Things are happening on this side, and we wanted to make sure that Miss Continental was a part of history.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
Now, before we start, we're already taping this because we want some of this as outtakes as well. Um, Anytime you feel uncomfortable about any questions that I ask, you can skip the question.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a full interview. It's everything about you. It's nothing about us, it's about you and your journey to Continental, your life, where we should go now with all of these crazy things happening in the world, how we're going to educate the young children with this instant fame, and the fact that it was your first time in Continental.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Now, that was amazing. So, what we're going to do, if you're okay, we can start now.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. In five, four, three, two. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show. Today, I am so proud to have the reigning Miss Continental Zhane Dawlingz Wiley.
Zhane Dawlingz.
Okay, on the show today. And she is the reigning Miss Continental, and she's going to give us a little bit of history about Continental, her life, and her journey to Continental. And we have a lot of questions from Miss Continental tonight. And hopefully, our audience out there, hopefully, we can educate you and inspire you to just be fabulous and be yourself. And that's what Pronoun TV is all about, being yourself. And you have a station where you can come and look for everything LGBTQIA, everything. So today on the show, we're going to talk to Miss Continental first and foremost about where are you from. Did I pronounce your name right, Zane?
So the correct pronunciation is Zhane Dawlingz.
Okay, wonderful. I'll try to remember that, Jeanne. I heard them say that differently on the Continental. When we watched the tape back, they kept saying the same thing I was saying at the beginning, Jeanne. So
Nikki and
today,
Dina both got it correct. However, Jim is very much his own individual. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna let them say it how he wanna say
okay,
it.
well, he's the boss, right?
Absolutely. So to answer your question, I am from Columbus, Ohio,
Mhm.
born and raised, and I've really enjoyed being in this easy, manageable space versus being
Mhm.
in like other places of the country because there
Mhm.
are a lot more busier places in this country than being at home.
Oh yes. Now, is that you or is that me beeping?
um, I'm not too sure. I don't hear a beat.
Oh, maybe we're, I don't know. I hear a beep. I think it's coming from your end. I'm not sure
Okay.
what the beep is, but it's not coming from me. But we will continue anyway, and we can take that beep out.
Okay.
All right. All right. So today, let's talk about your name. You have an unusual name. How did you come up with that?
So my name actually came from my mother. The story
Mhm.
behind it is that before me, there was supposed to be a set of twins, and those twins unfortunately did not make it to this world. However, within that, I was definitely manifested, and I was born with a name that I felt like at the time was of my father's. And so it was kind of like I was seen in his shadow, in his kind of light and air. But then once he passed, and of course, when I decided to then take on the journey that is my transition, I was able to, kind of talk to my mother and learn that the name Zhane is the name that I would have been given had I been born the opposite sex. And so I
Mhm.
decided that it would be more symbolic to not only my career, but also to my mother being able to stand in a name that she, wanted to choose for me from birth.
Mhm. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your transition because you look biologically female. So that would mean you've been transitioning a long time.
So I began medically transitioning under proper supervision in 2017.
Mm.
And ever since then, I did do the self-medicating. I did do that within the first few years prior to that. And that was because I knew I had the desire of becoming the woman that people see today. And so
Mhm.
within that, I was then able to have my body modifications, and I was able to complete my SRS journey and be able to proudly be able to represent the post-operative community. And also within that, I know it's a funny joke me and my mom have that I never am going to touch my face. So my face is very much God given, what I was born with. And so for that,
Mhm.
I feel very fortunate to have so much acceptance when it comes to my beauty because it really comes from a God given place.
Well, I must say, watching you in the Miss Continental pageant, you were fantastic. You really were. I mean, you were just, and it was not even pushed. When I watched it, you were just natural. And I think that was an amazing thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's talk a little bit about your family um, and church. I want to because we need to we want to touch on these things because we want the young people to understand that the LGBT community does believe a lot of us are Christians or believe in some sort of a God or believe that there is some sort of higher being than
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. Now, what about you and the church? Do you go to church?
I currently do not go to church. However, when I was growing up, I was definitely very heavily in the church. I was actually a
Mhm.
part of the church choir, which kind of brings me to being able to have been able to present the talent that I was able to present, because being a part of the church choir was definitely a major um, landmark, kind of monumental moment within the progression of my life. And so I definitely know that, my family is very heavy in the church, United Bible Missionary Church, to be very specific.
Mhm.
That is my home church that I kind of grew up in. And I do visit periodically, but as of late, I really just allow for myself to kind of find my own divinity within what the universe kind of offers me and brings to me. I allow for
Mhm.
myself to be able to accept any and all blessings that come my way. But I also definitely understand that it comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. You know what I'm saying? So for me, my spirituality is more so from a place of what I put out into the universe is what I do hope and expect to get back.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to say that you're fantastic. And I've been watching and following you on your journey now that you've won
Thank
this
you.
Miss Continental. Because almost every girl or growing up trans woman, and even some of the drag queens want to be Miss Continental. And
Yes.
this is an amazing thing that Jim Flint has created, something that all of the community and all of the entertainers want to be a part of. And
Hmm.
the fact that the legacy of Miss Continental is so great and such great performers. And it's great now that we're seeing more of Miss Continental all over social media. This is a good thing.
Absolutely. I think visibility is something that really helps keep pageantry not only mainstream, but also understanding that the Continental brand wants to be able to be a part of the time. And we don't want to miss out on being able to offer new and upcoming talent to be featured not only on a state level, but also a national and international level, which I think is a very beautiful thing, especially with us having had Continental Newcomer. I think that really opened up the door for us to be able to diversify and showcase that, there is a lot more talent that is not necessarily getting the opportunity that a lot of the more veteran queens or the more experienced queens are kind of used to already getting, because in that time frame there really was no other way, for them to be able to be featured or to have the kind of publicity or um, networking abilities that come with being on this kind of level. And it definitely does allow for you to be in a different group of people that you don't necessarily are just going to come into. And a lot of things you end up either having to be invited to or have to be there with a sense of purpose. And so for me, I definitely feel like being one of the youngest winners,
Mhm.
it has shown that you don't have to be somebody in this industry for an extreme amount of time to be able to reach such a pinnacle within the community standard.
Wonderful. Well, today a lot of the support and the marketers and companies now are looking for the influencers. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's great that we have young people like yourself now that have won this prestigious pageant, and not overshadowed the other contestants or the past years of the older contestants or not. You're right alongside some of the greats. And this is an amazing thing. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so it's great that you have won this contest, and it's great that Jim Flint has now created the newcomer to welcome the young drag performers or trans performers or whatever pronoun they decide that they are to enter the competition. And this Sunday, I have Knowles on. So we'll see what he has to say about
Yes.
his journey
My
as
king.
well. Did you meet him?
Oh, absolutely. I love my king. I love my entire court. I just love them so much. Lindsay Page, Taylor St. James, D.
Hmm.
Oscar, Dominique and Knowles.
Hmm. Dominique Chappelle is an amazing individual. You should probably get
No,
close to her.
Dominique as in the newcomer, not Dominique Chappelle.
Oh, the newcomer. Oh,
Yes,
well,
the newcomer's name is Dominique.
she's quite beautiful. The redhead.
Yeah, well, she was
Red.
blonde, I believe, for the function.
Oh, okay. Um, I, I'm trying to think. Maybe I have her mixed up with the other girl in Continental with the red hair.
Yes,
They look a lot alike.
yes, I believe that was her daughter, Melanie Monroe, the winner of Miss Continental Newcomer. Her mother is Melanie Monroe.
Oh, that's where I got it mixed up. Oh, so let's talk about, are you currently employed, or is Miss Continental your employment?
I would say that Miss Continental right now is a primary source of employment. However, I do definitely have a lot of different avenues that I like to explore through ways of fundamentally maintaining the livelihood that I like to express to other people.
Hmm. Now, as Miss Continental, what would you say to the young people, the young up and coming influencers, drag performers? Because there's a lot of young people on social media, very visible these days, both good and concerning at the same time. So, what do you say about them growing? Because us back in the day, my mother would say, "Stop being so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to be so grown." And
Mm-hmm.
today, young people seem to have more of a freedom, and they're getting this instant fame. And I've learned over the years with this, and in life in general, is things are better when they're slow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's your advice as Miss Continental for the young people and the young influencers out there growing up today in this fast environment?
I feel that it's always best for children to remember that the journey is your own. And you always have to remember that what you put out into the universe is going to determine how the universe will treat you as you move along your age and your journey that is your life. I think that for me, growing up, I involved myself in a lot of things that I felt were going to be fundamentally beneficial to where I saw myself eventually being, which is to eventually obtain my EGOT. That for me is something that I really, really, really want to obtain. And I know that it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of networking, and it takes a lot of understanding the system that is, entertainment. But for me, I involved myself in a lot of those things very earlier on in my life so that I could start to understand what it meant to be in this world with the vision that I wanted to set for myself. So when that comes to explaining it to other people, I always say go with what makes your passion feel the most full, but also know that no matter what kind of industry you choose to go into, do know that there's 9 times out of 10 somebody else out there who is able to help you move along. And if you're looking to upgrade and develop and become more of a stature in that industry, then continue to go down the path that makes you feel the most blessed and it makes you feel the most heard. But if
Okay.
you're not feeling blessed and you're not feeling heard and you're not feeling understood, then maybe it's time for you to reevaluate your group of people, your establishments that you maybe attend, your decisions that you're choosing to do for your life, and then understand that as long as you are here and as long as you are breathing, life should be full, life is obtainable, and life should always be taken with the most exciting passion that you have because it's the one thing that we have that we all share, you know? So one thing that bonds everybody together. And so know that you're not alone, and know that if you want to change your mind, if that's okay. But make sure it's for the rightfulness of you and not for the rightfulness of somebody else.
hmm Now, let's talk a little bit about Miss Continental. Now, where did you hear about the pageant, or did you know about the pageant from long ago?
So I actually started attending the pageant with my fiance Al in I want to say 2016, maybe 2017. It was the year Chantal was stepping down and Vanessa Van
Mhm.
Cartier was being crowned. And for me, it was not just watching the pageant, but it was also going to the baton, seeing who was there, realizing what they were talking about, seeing what won, understanding, you know, this works for this girl, but this doesn't work necessarily for the overall competition. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
really just studying what it meant to be Miss Continental, because I definitely feel like everybody has their own strategy, but you have to make sure that your strategy is so fine tuned to not only please the system that you are applying for, because we all have to remember that this is a job. So you are applying for something, but you
Mhm.
also have to remember that your package has to reflect who you are and what you are able to present throughout the duration of your reign. Like,
Mhm.
as somebody who presented a vocal talent, I understand that the expectation is for me to sing a little bit at some of these prelims and at some events, and that's okay. However, I think also for me, in coming into this, I knew that I wanted to display one solid talent, because I knew that there were going to be other talents to fall up behind that. And so I figured maybe that was the best way for me to plan my strategy.
Mhm. Well, it was visually beautiful,
Thank you.
and and
Thank
and,
you.
and you
Thank
were- and you
you.
were- and you were
Shout out to
looking
Byron, my choreographer.
and
I literally, when I tell you, so what we started with 5 weeks ago
Mhm.
is not what was displayed 2 weeks prior with
Oh,
5 rehearsals. We have 5 rehearsals.
oh my God, 5 rehearsals and you got that.
Five.
Wow. Oh my God. Well, visually it was beautiful, and the way you presented yourself, it was just professional. It was really quality. I just say it was quality because it was something that Continental really needed. Continental has always been good, but for some reason this year there was quality. There was that substance of like, I am at something really spectacular and something special is happening tonight. And when we watched the tape, and my agent, she's a little old lady, and she sort of, she doesn't, she's all about business. But when she saw it, she was like, "Wow, this is great. This is great. She's beautiful," and she kept talking during the show, so I know that things were good because usually she never talks. She
Oh,
just seems
that's
to be
great.
watching. So, and she thought you were fantastic. So, I said, well, let me just reach out to you. I reached out to a few of the other ones, but they were, I think, busy or whatever at the time. So we're in no hurry to make all of this work really quick. We want this to go slow. So, um, I'm really glad that I got to meet you, Janae,
Yes.
darling, and
Yes. Nice to meet
Miss
you as
Continental
well.
2024. Um, so let's talk about, how did you feel when you won, when they called your name?
Hmm. Well, well, first of all, my immediate thought was, did I hear that correctly? That was my first immediate thought, because I was like, okay. And so I got immediately weak in the knees, and I had to be like when the girls surrounded me, that was when I was like, that was kind of the confirmation for me, because it was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, this is happening. Like, this has happened. But I definitely feel like it was just a lot of fine tuning, little tweaks here and there. Being the last person to qualify for the national contest, I felt like it was a lot to finish up in the last few weeks. I had been working on my package though for well over 5 years. My evening gown is actually what took the longest to make. And it was a labor of love, most definitely. And so that was kind of like once that was done, I could then work on everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, as long as I continue to put forth at least 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half a day to making sure that I complete everything in my package, it was really a labor of hard work and dedication. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
really was.
Now, you know what, it was incredible. I mean, I must say, Miss Continental this year was really good. It really was. And I
It
was
was. There were
really
a lot of great competitors.
it really was. And it was visually very beautiful. And I'm glad they got back to that. So let's talk a little bit about your journey now as you travel city to city. What is the most difficult thing that you're finding that you're being Miss Continental and traveling to these different cities? What's the most difficult thing that you're finding that you're running into? I mean, because we have all these restrictions now with COVID and all these different uprisings and strange things happening, you know, things that are happening quicker than before that are kind of concerning. And you, as Miss Continental, being on the road, do you have someone that travels with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So, what do you think? What do you think? What is the most difficult thing for you as Miss Continental being on the road?
I would say for me, it would be the missed communication.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is now that I have been bestowed such a prestigious title, and knowing that it is a job and I have to bring in contestants, I am really realizing that I have to make myself known to the girls who I feel have the potential. And that is something in me as a person that I have to become more comfortable with. And I'm learning that that is something that I'm really kind of like, oh, I wish I would have said something to her, or I wish I would have given her a card, or I wish I would have mentioned, you should come do this contest, because I see the not just the woman, but I see the charisma and I see the individuality within these people that I feel like I've missed out on. And I feel like for me, that's the biggest thing that I feel overall I'm really trying to work on,
Mhm.
because I don't want to miss out on any more opportunity to see something in people that they might not necessarily see in themselves.
Hmm. Because and being in this business, in the drag business, female impersonation business,
Mm-hmm.
illusion showgirl, or however the girls decide that they want to present themselves.
The plethora
Some,
of
mhm.
vocabulary.
Sometimes they all don't. You can't all look alike. Otherwise, we wouldn't be interested in watching
Right.
the pageant or be
Absolutely.
interested in the pageant. Now, when you're on the road, or on tour, the Miss Continental on tour. I see that that's what they're calling it. So, uh, being on tour now, you have a partner, or you married, or you just in a relationship?
I have a fiance,
Oh,
soon to
okay.
be
So,
married. Yeah.
oh, okay. So, does he travel with you?
Yes, he does.
It must be very difficult being on the road on tour. And well, now that you told me that he travels with you, it must be a lot easier. You must be a little bit more calm with him there.
It definitely does help, at least within these earlier months, because I know we are both under the understanding that there is going to come that point of time where, he won't be able to necessarily travel with me as often or as frequent. And,
Hmm.
I know that for somebody of my age and stature and presentation to the world, that is a very nerve-wracking thing to travel the world, the country, the world, and all of those places alone. But I know that it's very helpful to know that as I am learning how to navigate all of this, that I am building more of a knowledge in how to feel more secure when I am alone, and also understanding that, like, okay, it's great to have him, but also knowing that while I'm in these places, to be making connections with people who, whether it be the promoter who's bringing me to their event, or let it be us attending some type of national walk, or anything that has to do with, continental representation, making sure that there is somebody there with me at all times, that as a Black trans woman, that is a very, very, very it's a very nerve-wracking thing to walk through this world alone when there isn't the option for your security, or your man, or your person who is that person for you, with you, to be with you. It can be very nerve-wracking, but I'm learning how to navigate that, which is becoming a little bit easier.
Well, the good thing about this, Miss Continental, Janae, I am just glad that such a wonderful, spirited individual like yourself has won Miss Continental. And it shows the young people out there that they too can be Miss Continental. And the fact that Jim Flint and them now are running the Miss Continental newcomer, it's a wonderful thing to show the young up and coming, maybe drag performers from RuPaul's Drag Race, or the All Stars, or whichever, the up and coming local queens, that they too can be Miss Continental, and that there is now a platform for them to maybe, start off small and
Hmm.
then grow and to be a Miss Continental. And you're a great representation of that. I can see that you're very well balanced, and the fact that you're happy, I can see that. And that is a really good thing. Um, and I am just glad I got to meet you today and that we had this little chat. Um, I just want to say that to our audience out there, we have Miss Continental 2024 on today, Miss Zhane Dawlingz on today, giving us a little bit of her journey into Miss Continental. And in closing, Johnny, what do you think? Where do you think we should go now? Because as you know, we have all these oppositions in Florida with all these pushbacks and laws, and these things that are happening against our community, and especially the drag community, where it affects your livelihood and the fact that you have a sense of belonging because this is who you are, and you're in the world of entertainment, so it will affect you in the long run as well as a lot of the other performers, whether from the past and the present, how they made their livelihood and their futures of up and coming shows, up and coming Miss Continental, Showgirl shows, RuPaul's Drag Race, all these things. It'll affect all of the performers in general, including myself. I mean, I'm more of a comedian. I'm sort of, I do everything. What do you think should happen now?
feel that the best way for us to show the political powers that we are strong and we are able to stand on our own is by being able to represent whichever your art form is of choice in the most professional and respected manner. I feel that a lot of times what ends up happening is that, they can pick on some of the representation of the art form that is not necessarily the most positive and or seen in the most positive light, which I find is a easy way to kind of say, oh, well, if this one person is doing it, then everybody else is doing it, which is not always ever the case. And I think
Mhm.
so. We as a people have to understand that the only way we can be able to prove to those of us who are maybe the ones sitting at the tables that we are able to do the right thing is by being able to stand firm and stand in what is right, what is just, and actually what is going to be looked at as like, okay, this is something that my children can be in the presence of, or looked at as something that is a representation of positivity within the community.
Mhm. Now, wonderfully said. That was wonderful said. Now, I want to talk about just one more thing here,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I think it's really important. You, as a Miss Continental and representing one of the most prestigious pageants around the world and in our community, let's talk about charity
Mm-hmm.
and the insecurities within our community. And many of our communities now that are suffering with either mental illness, homelessness, which is a really big thing for the trans and marginalized people within our community, and food insecurities. These are things that are really concerning around the world, but especially for us, and especially at this time. And now, with all the challenges of the pushback laws and the fact that we're this, we are now same-sex marriage is legal in a lot of the states, and they're trying to push back. Where do you think we should go with mental illness, food insecurities, homelessness, and housing? And charity, how do we build a stronger foundation than what we're already doing? You, as Miss Continental, could spearhead, or I'm sure you have something in mind about our community and the insecurities that are really needed at this time.
I immediately always suggest for people to seek out their local resources and know that there is somebody who is out here to help you. You just have to make sure that when you're looking for them, that you're looking in the right places and you're understanding that sometimes there are requirements that are put into place that you might not necessarily have readily available, but ask questions. Go to the people in your community who are the voices of the community and who have been doing the work for years ahead of what some of your friends or maybe even sometimes your parents might just know. Because
Mhm.
sometimes if you go to, say, a peer or somebody in who is not necessarily a friend, but maybe somebody who is considered like a beacon of their community, those people would be the ones who would be able to then outsource you to the proper resources versus going to somebody who is going to tell you to just go sit on the couch. Because not
Mhm.
everything always requires just sitting on a couch and telling somebody how you feel. Sometimes you have to get up and actually do something and make a change. And that can only be done by finding the light within yourself and knowing that, okay, if I want to find happiness within my vessel and within my person, then I have to get up and I have to go and ask these questions and I have to fill out paperwork. I have to get in these interviews. I have to go and see these people because that is the only way you can get out of what you were in before.
Mhm. Boots on the ground, I always say. And my agent,
Amen. Amen.
she's a firm believer in that too. My agent, she always tells me, you gotta get boots on the ground. I want you to start walking. I want you doing this here. I want you to find out what's what, and I want you to
Yeah.
go see it. I want you to go see it. I want
Well,
you to
and that's the
experience it.
beauty of like, so I, when I'm at home, I host a show called Church on Sunday nights at Access Nightclub with my good sis, the reigning Miss Gay Black Ohio, Miss Ava Aurora Fox.
Okay.
And the beauty of being able to be on the microphone is that I feel like I'm able to create the atmosphere to be a welcoming space to people who are in need of things like that. And so I, as somebody who is on a microphone every Sunday that I am at home, I feel like I too am a part of making that change, not just within my community, but also to the people who visit from out of town and who come and bring their friends and families. So I think it's really about finding those people who are able to give you those resources, which that's it's a really big thing. And I'm really happy that you asked that question because finding your resources and understanding how to tap in your resources is by far one of the most important things that any person can do for themselves, because you never
Mhm.
know how many people are just willing to open the door for you. You just don't know, and so a lot of blessings can come by opening your mouth. Like they say, closed mouths don't get fed.
That's
So if you're
right.
not saying nothing and you're not speaking up and you're not getting the information that you need, you're not going to be able to feed yourself. You're not going to
Mhm.
be able to maneuver through this world because you're going to feel like you're always without.
Mhm. It's wonderful that you said that. And especially in the Black community, we really have a hard time with asking for what we
Yes.
need. And it's
Yes.
a good thing that they have young people like yourself, Miss Continental Zhane Dawlingz, to now look up to and to sort of help guide them in that direction.
Thank
And it's a
you.
wonderful thing that we have a lot of the girls now talking openly about the kitchen doctors with silicone. It's great that we have them now talking more positive about these things that they're now seeking real doctors in real
Mm-hmm.
time to look after them, to help them through their journey in life. And with you as a young individual, and I like the fact that you had your mother there from the beginning that helped you with your journey. And this is great that, especially being a Black person and coming from, our community, we have someone that looks like us
Yes.
talking to us. So this is an amazing thing. So I wanted to say thank you to Miss Continental on the show today. She has really been fabulous, and she has
Thank you.
enlightened us on a lot of things. And I wish you continued success on your world tour, Miss Continental Journey. Dawn. Um, and now that we'll end in this, we'll end in you having some inspirational words for the next Miss Continental and for the new um the newcomer Continental. What are some words Miss Continental can give to the young people out there in closing?
In closing, I would say remember to follow your heart, stay true to who you are from within and not from what people expect you to be. I had to learn that in the very hardest of ways. You know, this journey did not come with butterflies and daisies. But know that there is a brighter side to everything. You just got to work for it. You got to know that it's for you. And when in doubt, study, 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 study. Whether you're going to
Wonderful.
school to study, whether you're going to a pageant to study, whether you're going to any kind of support groups to study, go and find something that fills your heart, with joy, and that fills your soul, so that you can feel like tomorrow is going to be just as great as today.
Wonderful. And on that note, Miss Continental, you're fabulous. You really are.
Thank
So,
you.
I'm so glad I got to meet you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I want to say to our audience out there, today we had Miss Continental 2024, Miss Zhane Dawlingz on the show. And she enlightened us today a lot about Continental, about her life transitioning, and about where we should go now, and her journey as she tours across the world, educating and representing one of the most prestigious pageants in the world, Miss Continental, which all aspire to be. And I just want to say thank you. It was so nice meeting you, and congratulations, Ohio. I see y'all were really happy that she won. So we want to say from Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show here, congratulations, Miss Continental, and thank you so much for doing the show. And to our audience out there, please look for Zhane Dawlingz around the country as she travels with her fabulous shows. She's beautiful to look at. So you check her shows out online, and you can check her out at the Baton in Chicago, at Miss Continental. And if we're now looking to book you, how do we book Miss Continental? How do we do that?
So the easiest way will be to hit me up on Facebook under Zhane Dawlingz Wiley, or you can hit me up on Instagram at Zhane93.
Okay. And on that note, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Miss Continental. And we will chat with you again. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
She's fantastic.